Oh, why does my AI give wrong answers sometimes? Now, the objective of this video is to help business owners understand AI errors and prevention strategies and how to essentially prevent them. So the key outcome of this video is you'll understand error detection and prevention, and you'll have a prevention strategy created. And so this leads to the mystery of wrong answers. So essentially, you've built an AI system, it works great 95% of the time. Then 5% of the time, it gives completely wrong answers. A loan approval AI says approve for someone with terrible credit. A recommendation AI suggests men's deodorant to a woman. A fraud detector misses obvious fraud. Ask, why is it wrong? And the answer is there are five reasons, and today we're identifying all of them. So the five reasons for wrong answers. Starting with the first reason, which is bad input data. The AI, okay, wait, shit. And so starting off with the reason, like I had mentioned, which is bad input data. Here the problem is, the AI receives corrupt or incorrect data. For example, your customer age field shows 250, which is impossible. Your email missing the at symbol, your currency values are negative. There are duplicate records creating confusion. So what does the AI do? It works with bad input, which then produces the bad output. And so, how to detect this? You check data quality metrics, monitor the percentage of invalid records, alert if the invalid percentage is over 1%. How to prevent this is you implement validation rules, test data before AI uses it, reject bad records instead of processing them. For example, your recommendation AI given customer age of 250 years old recommends adult diapers instead of toys, which is wrong. And so, wait a minute. And so the real impact is 5 to 10% accuracy loss. And so the best way to think of it is to think of it like cooking with bad ingredients. Even a great chef can't make good food from rotten ingredients. If your AI gets bad data, it gives bad answers. For example, your customer age listed as 999 means, of course, there's a problem there. There's a data entry error. Your AI thinks this person is 999 years old, which is obviously wrong, and so the recommendation changes completely. And like I had mentioned, to prevent this, it's great to validate data, reject bad data, and monitor what percentage of that data is invalid. Then secondly, there incorrect information. You know, there are missing pieces. The problem here is the AI is missing critical data needed for decision making. For example, your customer profile has the name but not no purchase history. Your AI can't understand what customer wants because they have an incomplete picture. The order missing shipping address. It can't decide on delivery priority. And so what does the AI do? It makes the best guess with incomplete picture, which is often wrong. And so how to detect this? Check completeness metrics. Monitor percentage of records with required fields. Alert if completeness is less than 95%. And so how do you prevent this? You make critical fields required. You can't save without them. Impute missing values intelligently. Reject incomplete records. For example, a credit risk AI missing credit history can't assess risk properly, hence the accuracy drops by 15%. And so the real impact of all this is 10 to 20% of accuracy loss. It's like solving a puzzle with missing pieces. You can guess, but you get it wrong. If your AI is missing critical information, it guesses. For example, your customer age is missing. AI tries to guess based on other factors, guess but the guess is often wrong. The recommendation is based on the wrong assumption, you know. And so, yeah, like to solve this is you identify critical fields, set alerts when data is missing, have a fallback strategy. And then the third reason is stale data, you know, which is outdated information. The problem here is your AI is working with old information. For example, your customer preferences from 6 months ago is outdated. Inventory levels from yesterday could be out of stock already. Competitive prices from last week could have changed today. Your customer address from last year, you could have moved. So what AI does is it makes decisions based on old reality, wrong for current reality. So how do you detect this? You track data age metrics, you monitor freshness of key sources, alert if the data expected is is has reached the expected freshness limit. And so how do you prevent this, right? You increase the freshness, you prioritize current information for critical decisions, flag old data as potentially unreliable. Your inventory AI, for example, your inventory AI recommends product that's out of stock. You know, customer can't buy, which is wrong. And so the real impact could be 5 to 15% accuracy loss. It's basically like reading yesterday's news to make today's decisions. By the time you act, the world has changed. If your AI's data is old, it misses what's happening now. For example, your customer bought shoes last month, now buys athletic wear. If data is 2 months old, AI still thinks they like shoes, you know. Um, they recommend more shoes, which is wrong. And so to prevent this, you update data frequently, maybe daily or hourly. You know how old is the oldest data I'm using. You monitor, am I recommending things that are outdated? And then fourthly is the wrong pattern recognition. Yeah, the fourth reason is wrong pattern recognition, which is showing like a false correlation. So here the problem is your AI learns correlation that isn't correct. For example, your ice cream sales correlate with drowning deaths. Your AI ice cream causes drowning. The reality is both happen more in summer, and so customer clicks, ad follows, email sending, the AI sending emails causes clicks, reality customers already interested. The products sells more on Tuesdays. The AI Tuesday causes more sales. Your reality, you run promotions on Tuesdays. And so what the AI does is it builds a model on false correlation, making the wrong decisions, predictions, I mean. How to detect this, understand business context, question patterns that don't make sense, A/B test predictions to verify causation, compare AI pattern, compare AI patterns to business understanding. And so how do you prevent this? Involve domain experts in model review, test causation, not just correlation, validate patterns with business logic, be skeptical of counterintuitive patterns. For example, your e-commerce AI learns that red shirts color correlates with higher sales, recommend all red, but actually red shirts were in fashion that season. This season, blue is fashionable. AI still recommends red, and sales drop. And so the real impact of all this is 10 to 25% of accuracy loss. It's like thinking every time I wear red socks, it rains. So wearing red socks causes rain. You found a pattern, but it's meaningless. Sometimes your AI finds patterns that aren't real. For example, during summer, sales are high and ice cream is popular. AI learns recommend um ice cream increases sales. Wrong. Both just happened. Okay. Wait. This leads us to the fifth reason, which is model decay. The AI gets worse over time. The problem here is your AI model is trained on old patterns, whereas the world has changed. For example, the model trained on 2022 customer behavior, now in 2024, customer preferences changed, preferences shifted 180 degrees, models still using old patterns, the predictions are completely wrong. What AI does, it continues using outdated patterns for new data. How to detect this? Monitor accuracy over time, compare accuracy on recent data versus old data, alert if accuracy trending downward, check if accuracy dropping in specific segments. And so how do you prevent this? You retrain the model regularly, monthly, quarterly, use recent data predominantly, monitor for distribution shift, implement automated retraining triggers. For example, Netflix recommendation model trained on 2022 users now want different context. Model still recommends 2022. This is like a 25% accuracy drop, and so how do you distinguish them essentially? Um, does accuracy drop suddenly? Probably be does the does accuracy drop suddenly? Probably because of the first reason, you know, was accuracy always lower on certain customers? It's probably the second reason that I mentioned. Did accuracy drop generally? Likely because of the third reason, which is, stale data. Does AI recommend things that don't make sense? Um, the reason could be number four, the wrong patterns. Did accuracy find did accuracy find then gradually decline? This could be, this could be due to the reason five, which is the model decay. And so this takes us to So yeah, this leads us to your error prevention strategy. So the goal is essentially to create a monitoring framework where you monitor all five constantly, right? Like it's like a sports team that trained for last year's opponents. If opponents change, the strategy fails. AI trained on old patterns stop working when things change. For example, your AI on 2022 to 2023 data worked great in 2023. Now it's 2025. Customers' preferences changed. AI is still using old patterns, hence recommendation will get worse over time. To prevent this, you retrain regularly, monthly, quarterly, monitor is the accuracy declining over time. Watch for changes in the real world, update model when patterns shift. And so when detecting, um, this takes us to model monitoring, right? What is model monitoring? Continuous measurement of AI model performance in production, detecting degradation or anomalies early. And so you can't prevent all wrong answers, but you can detect them before customers notice. Think of it like a car's dashboard, you check the engine lights. That's model monitoring, tells you what something's wrong before you break down on the highway, so you can fix it in a garage. Your AI needs the same dashboard. You monitor input quality, the percentage of records with valid data, alerts if it drops below 90%, and you monitor fuel. Essentially, it's like monitoring fuel quality, and then there is the accuracy where you test how often is the AI correct, you get an alert if accuracy drops below the targets. It's like monitoring engine performance. Monitoring coverage is how many requests can the AI answer. Alerts if AI can't answer more than 5% of the requests. It's like monitoring speed and responsiveness. Same with patterns, you monitor the patterns Are recommendations changing unexpectedly? You get alerted if recommendation patterns shift suddenly. It's like monitoring fuel consumption changes. And so when to act, you investigate within hours, find the root cause, and you fix before customers complain, essentially. And so what I could do is I'm gonna be talking about an e-commerce recommendation failure. This is like a local case study. A company had a recommendation AI that worked for 6 months with high accuracy. The click rate was above average, revenue over 100K per month from recommendations. Then it degraded over months, month six, it hit the baseline accuracy of 85%, and then it dropped below continuously for until the 15th month, which is over a year at this point. Revenue dropped from 100K per month to 60K per month, and so what happened here? The AI was trained on 2021, 2022 shopping patterns. It learned in winter people buy sweaters, in summer people buy shorts. This person bought X, so recommend Y. But in 2024, the fashion changed. Customer preferences shifted, seasonal patterns different, economic changes, such as inflation and different buying power. The AI was still recommending 2022 fashion in 2024. Customers rolled their eyes. And so the fix for this was to retrain retrain the model monthly with recent data. And this introduced a new process where it extracted last month's transactions, retrained the model from scratch on 3-month rolling window. Thirdly, it tests new model on holdout data, where and if it's good, they deploy the new model. If not, they debug and iterate. And so the first retraining, where the accuracy immediately returns to 85%, the revenue also returned to 100K per month. The lesson here was firstly, the first lesson was to monitor accuracy continuously. Don't assume it stays constant. Second is to model decay inevitable. World changes, retrain regularly. Lesson three, cost of not monitoring is high. Cost of to prevent is not as high. And so what they now know, what they now do is they essentially monitor daily their accuracy. They check accuracy trends. They retrain the model monthly. They give a full review and optimization quarterly. The company now has the highest recommendation accuracy in their industry, in their niche. And so the cost of not monitoring is high, you know, and and so therefore it is important to set up monitoring before problems occur. Don't wait for customer complaints. Your AI doesn't get worse on its own. Like I had mentioned before, there are 5 specific reasons: bad input data, incomplete information, stale data, wrong pattern recognition, and there's a model decay. And so most common in production is stale data and model decay. The most impactful is model decay, with over 40% accuracy loss possible, due to this. And so again, like I mentioned, implements the monitoring framework, alerts on accuracy degradation, retrain regularly, update model when accuracy drops below when the accuracy drops above 5%, and yeah, you're good.